Okay, Katie, we're
Hey,
YouTubers now.
yeah, we are.
We
Another
have
week's
like
gone by.
10 subscribers.
I know, double digits. We're pretty
It's
famous.
crazy. Yeah. So,
Well, I've gotten some good feedback in the real world, because I'm sure my family just doesn't say nice things about everything that I try to create. So, got some good conversations about the songs we're playing and their own memories.
well, that's good. My family has not watched it yet because I had a real battle of editing of the podcast because we did have some digital rights. People have rights to their digital content, and they said that we weren't allowed to use it, and I had to edit around that. So I had already watched the podcast at least 10 times, and so I didn't want to watch it any more times, even with my own family. But I did send the link around, and so we'll see if my family also is like, of course, you're a genius. The two of you, pure genius.
It was a really fun process though, because I feel like I'm like learning in real time, and then I'm going, oh yeah, I shouldn't talk over the music, and then oh, people probably knew this stuff in like 2005 when YouTube first came out.
Yeah. And then also I found out that even though I said, oh, I don't really have my own music, I'm not into music. Oh, turns out that might be a misperception of myself because once I started this process of like, what songs do I want to bring? Turns out until about 10 years ago, I kind of was into music. And turns out that about 10 years ago is when I started having to listen to, ABC Storytime music on a constant loop. So I think that's what happened is that just my music got displaced. And this is kind of a fun project to figure out, oh yeah, there is stuff that I myself like that wasn't from anybody else. So no, this is super fun. I'm glad we're doing it. Plus we have subscribers now. So,
And we had such different songs, like all of the songs that you showed me, it just opened up the floodgates of like, oh yeah, what about this genre and what about this, and just got me really excited to think about more songs to play.
yeah,
So
So I am super glad that this is still fun on week 2 and we'll keep doing it. There will be a week 3. Not
uh-huh.
next week because next week is your birthday. So we will be
Yeah,
skipping
yeah.
next week. But
I'm
there'll be
gonna
a week
be
3 after that.
42.
Yeah.
It rhymes
No,
with
that's a great
42.
it's a great age, guys. I've already been that age and it was great. So you're gonna love it. Okay, do you
Absolutely.
want to get started with your songs?
I
And
do. I do.
okay,
I brought 4 today. The first 2, I want to do back to back because this is just like one memory of a concert where one opened for the other and all of that stuff. So I'm super happy about this. Let
okay.
me get started. All right. And away we go.
Looking around the house, hidden behind the window and the door, searching for signs of life, but there's nobody home. Well, maybe I'm just too sure, or maybe I'm just too frightened by the sound of it. Pieces of note fall down, but the letter said, it was good living with you. It was good. It was good living with you. It was good. Good.
All right. Did you recognize that song? That's the first question.
Oh my gosh, this was my jam back in the day. I love this song.
Yes, so that was Better Than Ezra. Good. I mean, that's, one of their ultimate hits. but I absolutely love this band. That song came out, of course, it was the 90s, but let me be specific. It was 1995. Love this band. I got to see them in 2002, and I'm sure I won tickets off of the radio. That's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. We can talk about that. Kids out there, you used
Oh
to
my
call
gosh.
in to the radio station. Maybe they still do that. I don't know
Mhm.
anymore. But
But we could fully digress because not only could you do it, someone on this show has done it hundreds of times and won hundreds of prizes.
me or you?
You! I've
Okay.
done it 0 times.
Well, we will talk about that after this concert. But so yeah, Better Than Ezra. This is of course one of their hits, but the album that was out and they were touring on at the time was called Closer, and that's like one of my favorite albums. They've got a song on there called Better Recognize and I think Lifetime. But so they're from New Orleans. So the band that opened up for them is the next song, and they're from New Orleans. And but I love Better Than Ezra. I never really again dove deep into band histories, but now that we're doing this podcast, I'm just like looking it up, and they, you know, they're very supportive of their hometown, and they have a foundation set up to help people in need after hurricanes and things like that. And so, you know, this was the prime time of going to shows in my early 20s, and we were like right up front, right against the stage, and I was like, oh my god, I touched Kevin's shoe. Like I got to like touch his shoe, and he's like singing, I can
Yeah.
see the spit and sweat, and like those were the days of just the visceral concert experience. Like I just need to touch things, throw me a drumstick, I want to be part of it.
Yeah.
So, and then with Better Than Ezra, they have fan club. Not, I mean, I don't even know if it's like a legit fan club, but their fans have called themselves Ezralites. I did not know that at the time, and we were kind of standing in the crowd waiting for them to come on, and a guy comes up to me and Nick, and he's just like, "Are you guys Ezralites?" And I'm like, "What?" I feel like he was like, "Do you want me to talk to you about your Lord and Savior?" I had no idea what this guy was talking about.
Yeah.
So they have a hardcore fan base called the Ezralites. And just a good fun time, good fun songs. I think they're great lyricists. But the next song is from the opening band, and I can't wait to see if you've heard of this song and this band. They are also from New Orleans. So let me,
Okay.
without further ado, this bad boy. And we'll do a little bit of that. Yeah. Okay, screen share. What's happening?
Got no reason for the things I fear, the things that plague me when I see and hear. Dime's a nickel and a nickel's none. I'll throw myself into the Sunday sun. A summer Sunday when you went insane. You said you're going, but I said I came. I'm throwing oranges in an apple cart. The ties that bind are tearing me apart. Jenny says, turn off the radio. Jenny says, turn off the light. Jenny says, turn off the video. You beat yourself up to bring yourself down. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. When the world is coming down on me, I'll let it go.
Okay, first question. Have you heard the song?
I've never heard this song before in my life.
What are your feels about the song?
It feels like it's from New Orleans. Going into Rhiannon has the worst recall for pop culture, and Katie has the best. It's an HBO TV series about vampires.
True Blood.
It's a blonde, like True Blood. This gave me a lot of True Blood vibes.
I can totally see that. I can totally see
Yeah.
that. What the video did not portray appropriately is the like amount of energy. First of all, the lead singer is the drummer, and the
I
drum
love
kit's
that.
front and center.
Yeah.
Dude is the real life version of Animal, just
Mhm.
sweating, just, and like their crowd interaction and the whole vibe of the show is just energy and jumping up and down. Like the bass line and it just all revs up and I'm just like, oh my God, I want to dance. But it was one of those shows too. He works with the crowd and he got the whole crowd to like get down on the floor, and we're just like on the floor with the nasty beer and everything, just like, okay, whatever you say. I mean, he was absolutely incredible. Like one of the best shows. You don't have a lot of, I mean, I've been to a lot of concerts, but that one sticks out in my mind of just like working the crowd, having the energy. And he was just nonstop, just drumming, banging his head. And it was so much fun. And I guess, of course, did the Googles. So like Cowboy mouth, the meaning of the band is like a loud, raucous person. Like you got the mouth of a cowboy or whatever. But that concert memory is just so fun. And those two bands, absolutely love them. So like, there are other good songs. That song is on an album called Are You With Me? I mean, me and my musical preferences. I get a CD and I like things and I just play it over and over and over and over. And just really, really enjoyed that band. So
yeah,
but,
I really love it when the drummer is the lead singer. And I love it even more when they put the drummer front and center. And this is going to be so nerdy. Rhiannon's about to be much too much about sound engineering. But it's because it's such a challenge. I love it when people are good at their jobs. Like that's like my favorite thing in the world is when somebody is a master of their craft. And just thinking about the challenges for the sound engineer to mix those instruments and those vocals so that you can hear them over the drums, because the drums don't need to be mic'd up, but because he's singing, they are. And how to balance that. And even in a small like club show, like you still have a sound engineer, and that sound engineer is still like working their butt off trying to like make this a good experience. And I just love it when a band's like, yeah, you know what? This is the heart of our band. It's this person and this instrument, and it should be in the front. And you need to be good at your job, sound engineer. We're not going to put him in the back behind a sound screen, which is what happens in a lot of other, like, especially like I'm into arena rock. So arena rock, those drummers are just like really like super huge, larger than life. And they're just like banging the heck out of it. And because that stage is so mic'd up, it's like so overwhelming, the drumming, that they have to put them behind a sound screen. I'm like, no. This guy's like, no. I will not be behind a screen. I will be right here. And then also such a clean arrangement. I loved it. I'll definitely be checking those guys out, because I did have that kind of like true blood, new, like you can tell that they are from like kind of an aging South, old, like an old swampy vibe. Oh, I was really into that.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm super happy with that. I do think we need to take a minute and go back to the winning contests on the radio. I just would like,
yes,
my whole family has heard all of these stories, because in our early 20s, you try to save money. You don't have the money to go to shows all the time. They definitely weren't the prices that they are today. But, our favorite local rock station, I'll give a shout out to the old 99.7 The Blitz. And you'd always have to be caller number 9, but we would like get so good at it. We just listened to the radio on the weekends. And so we knew like which DJ did it at the top of the hour, on the 20s, on the 40s. And then, a lot of people didn't know that they had like 3 station lines, I think. So even though the call-in number was like 9970 at the end, you could really do 9971 or 9972 and get in on a line. And it like, there were lots of ways to get your chances to statistically go up. So, you just have to game the system. But we had a magical phone that was a landline back in the day, and it could just get in so fast, and you just click, 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 click. Now with the cell phones, it's a lot harder to get in. So anyway, we would go see free shows, like 1 or 2 a weekend, various radio stations. There were a lot of concerts we got to see because it was free, and why not? So
yeah, well, I mean, time. One of the first things I learned about Katie is she's like, oh, I'm kind of into sweepstakes and winning free prizes. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And she's like, no, I'm really into it. And she's like, you can schedule a meeting for me at this time, but I am going to be trying to get Krispy Kreme donuts. And I'm like, and she's like, oh, and she went, she's like, oh, I just happen to know that the Krispy Kreme is opening. And if you're the first X number of people, you're gonna get a prize. And she's like, oh, I might get a t-shirt or whatever. And she was literally the first person in line at the opening of this Krispy Kreme, got a free Krispy Kreme for a year. So it's not just concert tickets, and it's like,
Oh,
it's amazing. So many amazing prizes that she's like, if you just try, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? You don't win.
that's right. That's right. I'm currently entering a McDonald's for life sweepstake, but you know, the older I get, the more I'm not really sure what the prize is for these
Yeah.
so-called prizes. Clogged
One of
arteries,
these
maybe.
days, yeah, one of these days we should watch that documentary about the Pepsi challenge, because
yeah.
it's all over my ads, and I'm like, I do remember this Pepsi challenge. And I really want to like hear your perspective on like, was it a scam? Like what should they have expected when they won the prize, and like the whole thing. I just
Well,
like it's
there's a whole character too. So you know the movie Real Genius with Val Kilmer.
Mhm.
So Laszlo Holyfeld, the guy in the closet, and he's like entering the Lay's sweepstake. And he's like, you know, I'm doing it by the rules, and they don't, you know, you can enter as many times as you want. So he's like printing out, and they also didn't probably have rules that time that it had to be handwritten entries. And
yeah.
you know, he's just like calculating, I'm gonna win like 67.3% of the prizes or whatever it is. And that you know, is in reference to things that actually happened where they needed to start changing the sweepstake rules to make sure they could make it a lot harder to win the prizes for people not to game the system. But
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
it's because of these these people who are like, oh, you know, I want that and I'm broke and I'm just gonna read the rule book. They didn't expect that type A project manager personality to intersect with sweepstakes and prizes.
that's
Little did
right.
they know.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, since I did bring 4 songs today, I will head on to number 3.
Okay.
If you do not know this song, you were probably living under a rock in 94, I think.
Okay.
So we'll have to see.
Once there was this kid who got into an accident and couldn't come to school. But when he finally came back, his hair had turned from black into bright white. He said that it was from when the cars had smashed his soul hard.
All right. Well, please tell me you've heard this song.
I have definitely heard this song, and when I was telling my husband, I'm like, oh, I got to get some songs from the 90s for podcast this week. He's like, you need that once there was a boy. Like he didn't tell me the name of the song because he knows that is not beneficial to me. But he's like, you should put this song. And it's like, yeah, I like there's those songs. This is kind of in my vibe because it's weird. It's so
Yes, it is.
like, it's so weird.
Absolutely weird. So they were or are a Canadian rock band from Winnipeg, Manitoba. When I was talking with my husband about, you know, picking songs for this, I showed him a couple of the songs because they're actually touring right now and they're going to be in Cincinnati, I don't know, in a few months or something. And we were debating whether or not to go because, you know, the song's pretty great, you know, and it's
Yeah.
weird. It came out in the 90s. But you know, I was playing him some of the other songs from this album, and he's like, "I'm all right," you know. But when I got this album, guess what? It was a Columbia House penny CD, And I was like, sure, I'll get it because of this song. I absolutely loved this album. But what I loved about it was there were very like heavy religious overtones, undertones. I mean, the album is called God Shuffled His Feet, but there's songs like there's one called Afternoons and Coffee Spoons, which is another like that has an official video and it was kind of a hit. And there's a song called The Psychic and How Does a Duck Know? But it's like all of these questions about life and existence. And it hit me when I was 13, 14, you know, right when you're starting to learn abstract concepts and question things and figure out who you are. And they were just catchy and alliteration. And I was super into books and words. And and his voice is super weird. I love it so much, you know?
Yeah.
So I was gonna like play Afternoons and Coffee Spoons, but you got to play the literally the title of the song.
Yeah.
For those who may have never heard it before.
I like at the beginning when the captions are like wistful indie pop music. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what this is. This is wistful indie pop. Yeah. I mean, again,
do you remember hearing this song like on the radio?
Yeah, this song. I believe that Weird Al did a parody of this song, which is what I actually know.
I'm sure he probably did.
I'll have to do my research before next time, but I have definitely heard this song. But I believe that if it wasn't Weird Al, it was some other parody, because I know there's a parody of this song that is like, this song is so weird already that how weird could a parody of it get? But I remember that, I know this song, but not necessarily these lyrics. So I'll have to investigate that and come back next time. But no, I really like this song. It is weird. It definitely, I would not put that one in heavy rotation just because it is kind of like wistful.
It's mellow too. And my body and rhythms run on my beats per minute. So I cannot be listening to this when I'm trying to get stuff done in my life. Like this is just sitting here doing nothing, kind of listening for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no concert story for this one. It was just such a weird, cool song when I was growing up, and absolutely they need their credit for sure.
And I like how cinematic the video is. This was kind of that heyday of like not just people standing there with their instruments. It was like a whole cinematic experience of the music video. So that was cool. I'm getting all these memories of like, oh yeah, remember? This is what life was like.
Well, and when I'm trying to find the stuff too to put on the pod, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to fast forward this like 30 seconds because there's all of this intro scenes. They're actually like movie music videos and they don't even start the song out yet. So
well, it's just like MTV had to fill 24 hours a day. So they wanted your video to be 7 minutes long because that was one song. They paid you one royalty, but got 7 minutes. They loved it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I have one left, and I chose this one because the band's from Ohio and they're awesome. And two, I want to show the different types of genres. I think, around middle school is when you just start, when I started like listening to everything. So let me get this ready and I'll see if you know this song.
We're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we are against those thugs.
It's the Thuggish Ruggish bone. It's the Thuggish Ruggish bone. It's the Thuggish Ruggish bone. It's the Thuggish Ruggish bone.
You're feeling the strength of the rum, step bump, hit a funk, get a jump, get the dust, just feel, just be thugging, straight buzzing, loving your peoples, cause we so real, chill, better bring
Okay, first question. Do you know this song?
I don't know if I know this specific song, but I know Bone Thugs. So I mean,
Okay.
it's a genre to me. Like this '90s hip hop is more like a blended, like a mosaic. It's all kind of in there. But definitely like the loops, so good.
Yeah, this song reminds me, we were talking last week about latchkey kids and hanging
Mhm.
out and everything. Like, this is where we would all hang in like somebody's basement and listen to songs after school, into the night, whatever. Have a good time. You didn't have cell phones for your parents to track where you were, and maybe you get into trouble, maybe you don't. I mean, you probably
Yeah.
don't, because nobody gets in trouble. You're fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, my older sister too, and all her friends, like, she absolutely loves this song. I love this song. I love this album. But this was like, Eazy-E, NWA. Eazy helped. I think he signed them to Ruthless Records. I don't know. I tried to do a little bit of googling, but yeah, we played this album out over and over and over. Yes, they formed in Cleveland in '91, and it's Crazy Bone, Lazy Bone, Busy Bone, and Wishbone. So yeah,
Yeah. Remember rap names?
yes, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And you're 13, 14, 15, and explicit lyrics are the best. And
Yeah.
that was also right when everything is like, oh my God, music is making kids evil and kill each other. I guess that's always happened since rock and roll
Yeah.
started, but definitely part of that wave of what messages are you teaching our children. And
Yeah.
but it's great music. It's great dance music. It's just great atmospheric hip hop when whatever you're doing and just having it on in the background. I just absolutely love that song. And Bone Thugs, if people haven't heard their older stuff, I mean, I think everybody knows First of the Month and Crossroads, and but Creeping on to Come Up, the first album, is like chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It's got
Uh,
so many good
I
things. For
think
the Love of Money.
when we get into my songs, I'm like, this was actually a very good segue into my songs. But what I so a long time ago, I got in this internet fight, as you do, with somebody who was like, hip hop's not music. All they're doing is sampling other people's music. I'm like, they're using loops as an instrument, right? Like to me, I was a music nerd. I was a band nerd. I was really into especially like arrangements and like how do you layer instruments and sounds together. And I think that hip hop is not necessarily a genre that I would turn on just like nowadays. Although sometimes I will be like, hey, Apple Music player thing, play me some '90s hip hop. But I didn't want to say her name because she would start doing it right now.
Absolutely,
'Cause
absolutely, she
she's
would.
she's sitting right behind me. But just the idea of you can make music with anything. And even if it's not to my taste, which a lot of it is not necessarily to my taste, I really appreciate the like entrepreneurial spirit of like, I got this music inside me that's got to get out. Because like even like my friends had musical instruments. We were all in band, but that's expensive. Like it's expensive to be in band. Like your family's got to scrape together like $400 for you to get that instrument, and not
Yep,
everybody can do that.
yep,
And the ability to make music out of what you have around is just like one of the most core human characteristics. And I really like how hip hop exemplifies that spirit of musicality to like, hey, I like the way this sounds and I'd like to put it together. Like I can't get into a studio and record with this opera singer, but I can sample it off of this record and I can use that to create new music. I love it. It's like one of my favorite things in the world is like that craftiness, like being crafty and like making something out of things that seem unlikely to create a new content. So I love hip
yeah.
hop.
All right, we'll get into it. I can't wait.
Okay. Well, my first song is not hip hop, but
That's fine.
like going into my mellow world. Let me figure out my screen sharing. Okay, more screen share screen. Okay. Share with sound. Make sure you click that, Rhiannon. Otherwise, Katie can't hear nothing. Okay, skip the ads. Again, cinematic.
I love her look at this era.
Treated me kind, sweet destiny, carried me through desperation to the one that was waiting for me. It took so long, still I believed somehow the one that I needed would find me eventually. I had a vision of love, and it was all that you've given to me. Right through
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I definitely know that song.
of course. So this is like Mariah Carey version 1. You know, this is before her first divorce. I think she's not even married yet. I think this is like literally Mariah Carey version 1. Again, don't quote me on that, but this R&B vibe, like again, very simple arrangement, very clear vocals, but so cinematic, and it just, you could feel how much power she has as a vocalist. You could feel that she could do so much storytelling with her voice. Like she, even today, is so amazing. I follow her on TikTok, and I recommend it. You should follow her on TikTok. She's great. But just like you can, I also like, oh my gosh, look how young Mariah Carey is in this video. Of course,
That was
you know,
the
it's
first
30
thing I
years
thought.
ago.
I was like, she has to be like 19 to 22 or something. I don't even know. I have to Google
Yeah,
now. It's just like,
so young.
yes.
And just like how big of, like, so cinematic, like that sweep in with like that rainbow sunset situation, and she's sitting in the little corner of the window. I'm like, whoever directed this video, A+, totally get an A+ on this. But yeah, like,
This
you know,
this song reminds me of like, you used to be able to call in. We have a radio station here that like played love songs all night from like 8
yeah,
to midnight or whatever, and you could call in and dedicate them to people. And like they used to play this song all the time, and the DJ would be like, "Oh, this song goes out to Steven from Mary, and she wants to tell you that you are her vision of love."
but it's crazy because this is a breakup song.
I
Like,
know,
this is a
I
breakup
know.
song.
I-
That, that's so funny. Yeah, I used to listen, of course, I listened to all of those dedications, those dedication hours, but it does surprise me, even still today, how many people will choose like this as their wedding song. Like, this is a breakup song, my friend. Are you listening to the words? She had a vision of love, and that's all that you turned out to be.
Some people aren't
Oh,
lyrics people. They just
no.
like the sound.
It does have a good sound. It does have a very nice sound. But that's like, you know, talking about like us being lyrics people and like the lyrics of this song and the female empowerment of this. She's like, it was nice, but it wasn't nice enough. I like, this is like definitely, oh, Mariah Carey is going to be a person to follow throughout her career. So definitely Mariah Carey is one of those artists that I am into. So
Yeah,
you can put that
definitely.
into your list. Artist Rhiannon will probably recognize Mariah Carey.
That is taking a note of that. Yes, definitely.
Okay, let
Awesome.
me try to switch my musics here. This next song is kind of pulling us through the progression of the vibe. This picks up off of that R&B, but getting it a little bit more upbeat. And you can kind of tell that I was like 11, 12, 13 in this era because of like the angst and the emotional turmoil of these songs. So
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
So this one is a real classic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh,
I love that
again.
song. That gives me so many actually like elementary school vibes. I just remember like being on, these are the songs like when you were out on the playground at recess making up dances. I don't know if you had girlfriends where you would make up dances to songs, but that's what we were doing. And definitely Don't Be Cruel would be one of those for sure. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And then again, going back to like Bobby Brown looks like a child right here.
And do you remember watching that video? I thought he was an old man. Like,
Yeah.
just I cannot believe how young he looks. Yes, that's
And their
absolutely
and his voice is so like he's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, Bobby Brown, you're a baby. And but I just love this song. This is a theme that you hear carried over through all the ages of the music. Like I could treat you better. Like you're not being nice to me, even though I'm being so nice to you. Like this kind of, you know, she's just not that into you. Like you don't have like if you're having to say don't be cruel, you should just say, hey, why don't we go our separate ways? But when you're like 12 and you're like, this person who I've touched their finger is the love of my life that fill my entire world in existence. Why are they being so mean to me? Like the heightened emotions of that like period of your life. It's just like, oh, this Bobby Brown, you're speaking to me right here. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we
so in love.
definitely
We dated for a week and then he broke
Yeah.
up with me.
Oh my gosh. I have this friend. We're friends now as adults. And
Sure, it's your friend. Got it.
Yeah. Well, in 7th grade, or maybe 8th grade, and he was in 7th grade, we held hands for 6 days and passed notes. And he was like, you're my girlfriend. I'm like, you're my boyfriend. And I'm like, at the end of when it was Friday, I'm like, I don't think my parents are gonna let me have a boyfriend. And also, I don't know what this is. So why don't we just like be friends again? He's like, agreed. And then we've been friends for like, 25 years since then. But occasionally he'll still say, Rhiannon, you were my first girlfriend. I'm like, I don't think that counts.
Nope, we labeled it. It counts. Check it off the list.
He's like, no, you said you were my girlfriend. You're my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, okay. So, that was that sweet innocence before there were cell phones, before you could, text people. You had to like literally write things down on a piece of paper and pass notes in class because your parents weren't going to let you have a boyfriend once it was Friday. You were going to have to be like, well, I guess this is over now.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so I think Bobby Brown and like New Edition is R&B and not hip hop. I don't know. What are your views on that? Do you think that this is R&B or on the edge there?
It's like on the transition. They're probably like a transition group for sure. New Edition, but I would still call them R&B, I think.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think so too. And especially like this kind of like, I don't know, sad, kind of sad adolescent boy music is definitely more in the R&B, like kind of like the bluesy part of rhythm and blues, right? Um, my next song is also very Rhiannon, but I think crosses the line into actual hip hop, and you can tell by the tempo. So let me
Okay.
start sharing my screen. This one, I love this song.
Oh, yeah. I dare you not to dance when you're listening to this song.
Alright, stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. I look funny, but yo, I'm making money, see? So yo, world, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round. I'm the new fool in town, and my sound's laid down by the underground. I drink a bottle of Hennessy you got on your shelf, so just let me introduce myself. My name is Humpty, pronounced with the umpty. Yo, ladies, oh, how I like to funk thee. And all the rappers in the top 10, please allow me to bump thee. I'm stepping tall, y'all, and just like Humpty Dumpty, you're gonna fall when the stereos pump me. I like to rhyme, I like my beats funky, I'm spunky. I like my oatmeal lumpy, I'm sick with this. Straight gangster Mac. But sometimes I get ridiculous. I'll eat up all your crackers and your licorice. Oh, yo, fat girl, come here, are you ticklish? Yeah, I called you fat. Look at me, I'm skinny. It never stopped me from getting busy. I'm a
So,
Oh,
do you love the Digital Underground, Katie?
I love the Digital Underground. And the first thing that pops in my mind when I hear the Humpty Dance is roller skating. Like
Yes.
every time we had a school roller skating trip or just going on Friday night because that was the thing to do or whatever, Humpty Dance, hands down. And then there was like the center of the rink, depending on which rink you go to, that has the dance part. And for people that don't know how to skate, they can kind of like have a friend shimmy them out to the center, and it had walls around it, and they could take their skates off and still hang out with everybody and be amongst the skaters, even though they couldn't skate. They just needed to skate in and skate out somehow. But so there'd be people in there dancing, people roller skating, like Humpty Dance equals roller rink to me.
Yeah. I, of course, look how weird they are. Like the Digital Underground, my dad, of course, was kind of like into like Parliament Funkadelic P-Funk. And I feel like these guys are like the son of that movement, right? Like that
they're taking the
funk
sound and evolving.
They're taking it, and also like the funny clothes and his crazy hat and his costuming, and like the whole thing is so funky, like, and it's fun. And they, like, gangster rap went one direction, and let's kind of like goofy hip hop went one direction. And I definitely followed this strand a lot more with like, it's lyrical, it's funny, but it is to have fun. Like this is party music. Like this
the
is
Fat Boys,
like the whole,
like the Fat Boys.
Yeah, I love the Fat Boys. I almost put them on the list. I'm like, I can't get too off the line. But like now that you know, I'm like, now that I know Katie knows the Fat Boys, like they will make it onto the list. But I almost put a different song on, which I'll save for when we talk about music from movies, because there's this really terrible movie from the 90s. It has Demi Moore and Chevy Chase, and it is
Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah, it's a parody of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's so good. It's so
good, and so
and I almost
weird.
Put that one, yeah. That all around the world the same song. I almost put that song instead, but I'm like, no, let's go like OG, the thing that popped him off, the Humpty Dance. And I love this song so much. Like I'll even still play this song on repeat sometimes when I'm like trying to hype myself up. You know, I'm that weird mom that's like out here like shaking my butt, you know, getting myself hyped. But yeah, I love this song. And they're from Oakland, which even though I grew up in Orange County, my whole family is from the San Francisco Bay Area. So I would spend the summers like with my aunts and my cousins. My mom was a teacher, and so she mostly had summers off, and so we would come up and work in my aunt's business, my one aunt's business. We would work in her business, and my other aunt and uncle, they had to work all year, so my mom would come and like entertain all us kids. And so my cousin, being in the Bay Area, she would get turned on to all like the Bay Area music. And so like again, because I'm like, I'll just take on everybody else's music, it's fine. I took on a lot of her music, so a lot of Oakland based bands, because San Francisco was kind of more of the wistful indie pop, and Oakland was more of like this upbeat, like definitely this kind of more party scene. From my experience of the music, again, as an outsider, Oakland had more of this music. But yeah, so basically, if someone's from Oakland or Orange County, I'd be like, well, I'll check them out at least and see what their music's all about.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
That's like you and you're like, well, if they're from Columbus, I'll at least try it. Like,
yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
If they're from Orange County or Oakland, I'll at least try them. Okay, so my last song is not actually from the 90s, but it has a 90s vibe, and you will see why. Let's get screen sharing going again.
Woke up quick at about noon. Just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. I gotta get drunk before the day begins, before my mother starts bitching about my friends. About to go and damn near went blind. Young niggas on the path throwing up gang signs. I went in the house to get the clip with my Mac 10 on the side of my head. I bailed outside and I pointed my weapon. Just as I thought the fools kept stepping, I jumped in the flow, hit the juice of my ride. I got front and back, side to side. Then I let the Alpine play. I was pumping new shit by NWA. It was gangsta gangster at the top of the list. Then I played my own shit, it went something like this. Cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the bitches, slapping the hoes. I went to the park to get the scoop. Knuckleheads out there, cold shooting smooth. Car pulls up, who?
So I don't know that this cover could happen now because of that that N-word drop right there in the first verse. They'd have to bleep that in some way nowadays.
Yes.
But this I think this is from like 2000 or 2001.
Yeah.
And nostalgia for the 90s, I think those of us who were like in our heyday and our peak of like growing ourselves as people in the 90s, we've been nostalgic from the 90s since the moment they were over.
Exactly. I love Dynamite Hack though, but this is where I think our tastes intersect too. And it's just, I love cover songs that do something different with it and put their own twist on it, make it sound different. It just, I liked the vibe of it. And actually, I mean, I listen to this quite often, this song, but during that playback, I was like, this kind of sounds like Weezer right now.
Yeah.
But Weezer also has such a spectrum of sound. So but yeah, I absolutely love that song. It is so much fun. And if you ever couldn't keep up with the lyrics of the original one, you get a really nice slow version when you're like, oh, I didn't realize those were the lyrics. Okay.
Yeah. But I think this is maybe an unintended commentary, because one of the things about especially gangster hip hop, which NWA is, the largest audience for gangster hip hop is suburban white youths. And so just like this interpretation of like, gotta get drunk before my mom starts writing me about my bad choices in my life, like to hear this like reimagined like into that suburban, like, oh, like that to me is so interesting from like an artistic point of view. I don't know if that's what they were intending, like if that was their intention when they created this, but definitely like art is not always about the intention, it's how like you receive it too. And I love covers. Like definitely one of the things that we have in common is like I love covers. And this one was just really it had that 90s nostalgia. And like you said, it was like combining a Weezer and like a little bit of that happy suburban like that like Buddy Holly, like even
Mhm.
just like the imagery of it, that softness and like the little really light vocals and like the drums, making this like with the lyrics of Boys in the Hood, which like going back like music from movies, like this movie is
Oh,
traumatizing.
yeah.
Oh my God, traumatizing. Like my daughter's 10. She's definitely not old enough to be watching this movie. And I was like, this movie was so traumatizing and world changing, and to like have this like upbeat, like soft approach, and like I just love all the contrasts and all the differences that are happening there.
Yeah. Good choice. Good choices.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
it. Love it. Love it.
I know this is my new mission in life. Will Katie be happy with the music I do? Oh, but yeah, I've been creating a backlist of like all the songs I want to bring, and I unlocked this whole memory about Flula Borg. I was like, oh my God, Flula. I like talk about like classic OG YouTubers. I'm like, I was probably on the subscriber. Like I got those releases like every time he had a new video. I was like, oh, what's it gonna be this time? And I have some real the top classics there picked out to show
Oh my gosh.
when
That's
we come
awesome.
back to yeah.
Well, I brought not more videos to play, but since it's Christmas time and
vinyl.
I know I've told you this before, but for those of you tuning in for the first time, I have a huge Christmas vinyl collection as well. And I picked maybe 3 or 4 just to show you of variations of types of albums I have, and it doesn't even cover the gamut of different musical genres that I have. But that's also why I like Christmas songs too, because it's like a different version of cover songs. Like you have this set of traditional lyrics, here's what they are, and then you have artists doing their own versions, and then you also have just what would it take to make a new Christmas song and actually have it catch on when there's all of these traditional ones already. So, and then some of them are just fun. So I just wanted to show you a couple. Well, this is a beautiful segue.
Oh yeah.
This is Eazy-E's version, Merry Mother Bleepin' Christmas here. Little 7-inch of that song. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I had that. And then, of course, Merry Christmas from the White Stripes. There's just a couple songs on here. So I have like a couple 7s and then I have a couple LPs. What's my third? Oh, this one, I'm pretty sure it's just spoken word holiday story, but it is Mick Foley, the wrestler.
Oh, I
Mick Foley's.
love Mick Foley, the Undertaker, right?
Yes. So this
The
is just like
Undertaker?
a spoken word. I hope so. I'm sorry, all you wrestling fans out there. I hope so.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's him because he's a comedian, or not a comedian, but like a spoken word, like prepared stage performer now. Like he does monologue type production performances now. Yeah, I love Mick Foley.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite Christmas albums of all time. Talk about just inappropriate. It would probably never get made again.
Oh,
South Park.
Heidi Ho.
Heidi Ho. South Park's Mr. Hanky's Christmas Classics. By the way, this is hilarious because it is on scented LP on poo brown colored vinyl. So, just so you can get your full on Mr. Hanky experience. But
yeah,
it has great Christmas classics, like Dead, Dead, Dead. That one cracks me up because someday we'll all be dead, and it's like this cheery Christmas song, and it's super hilarious. Swiss Colony Beef Log, Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel. Just so many great things. Very offensive to many, many people. Love it. Here's a little saccharine poppy album, actually super good. We love the Monkees in this household, and we can talk several minutes about how much we love the Monkees, but this Monkees Christmas album, I listen to on repeat. It just has a lot of good songs. Saccharine, definitely like sugary saccharine songs. I love these guys. And then I brought this one. This is Riot Girl Christmas. So this is a lot of punk rock kind of Christmas songs. But it's also like different bands. So a lot of different punk bands. It's a compilation. So we've got the Panty Christ, Have Yourself a Merry Christmas. Fright Wig, Jesus and His Judgmental Father. It's just hilarious. Love it. Lots of good punk songs. And then last but not least, I brought this because of our conversation last week. Dr. Demento, the greatest novelty records of all times. So, you know, this again is just a compilation of all of the crazy Christmas songs, but it's got Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. All I Want for Christmas is My Two Front Teeth. All of those. I want a hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus.
A hippopotamus. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Like, I love that song. So tons of fun with Dr. Demento in this album. So there's your little Christmas selections that I wanted to bring to the pod.
So I love all of that. I love Christmas covers. The only ones that I really like have are like the Me First and the Gimme Gimmes Christmas album. I love that album, which is like they're these super sped up punk versions of like standards and classics. But do you participate in Whamageddon, the annual tradition of avoiding Last Christmas?
No.
Oh my gosh. I don't avoid it. I cherish being eliminated as soon as possible. I love that song. But it's this thing that's like an internet meme of like, oh my gosh, Last Christmas is the worst song. I'm like, Last Christmas is a treasure, and don't you dare speak ill of Wham in my presence.
I have the pick disc of that single. And really the only reason why I liked it when I first heard it is because it talks about the day after Christmas and it's my birthday. So I didn't even care what it was about. I was just like, shout out to the 26th. I know it's, you know, heartbreak and whatnot. I think it's a catchy little tune, little disco pop. Didn't Taylor Swift remake that song? Somebody covered that song.
I feel like a lot of people probably have, but it's
probably.
I love that song. I love Wham. Maybe we can like roll back into the 80s a little bit. Every time I'm like, I should put this song on the list. Let's roll back. That one's like 83. Can't roll back that far.
That is not off limits. I mean, we can definitely, you know, keep the first few episodes sacred, but it's really just about the music of our childhood. So we can totally include that.
So next year you may participate in Whamageddon, but what it is that starting on December 1st, you try, it's like a elimination game where you play with your friends, and it's being whammed in the wild, right? So like if you played it on purpose, like if you went and played the 7-inch on purpose, it wouldn't count.
Okay.
You have to be in the wild. So like your algorithm has to bring it up, which I'm sure your algorithm has played it like 400 times. Or you have to like hear it in the grocery store, like when you're out shopping or whatever, like, which is like starting on November 1st, it's like in constant repeat. But I was kind of bummed because I only got out on Friday, but so I lasted like 16 days without hearing it. It is like literally one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. It was Last Christmas. I think it's just like such a good song. And I don't know, this guy, I was buying chocolate from this guy one time and it was playing in his shop and he's like, oh, it's such a bummer that George Michael had to go and die like on the 27th of December. I'm like, bringing the whole vibe down, dude. This is not how you sell chocolate. But so now that every time I hear that song, I'm like, oh, he really was like living the whole Last Christmas, like really to the last vibe of it. But yeah, I love that kind of soft, like a gentle breakup song. Like I like that
Yeah.
Vision of Love. Like I
Oh,
do
so
like
like
yeah.
You Ought to Know.
I
It's
was gonna
such
say
a gentle breakup song.
I do like I will burn your whole house down vibe every now and then. Like
Yes, you got to be in the mood for it.
yeah, well, like what's that Dixie Chick song about Earl and like
Oh
setting
yeah.
his truck on fire?
Oh no, they kill him because
Oh,
he abuses the
yeah.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I do
Goodbye
like
Earl. Goodbye Earl is what it's
Goodbye
called.
Earl.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like one of those like real powerful breakup songs, but like again, I like my music to be like kind of on a positive note. Um so like if I'm going to listen to breakup music, which is not I don't have much occasion for it these days.
You would rather listen to the ones where they're just like, I learned my lesson and I moved on. They're not just like, I'm gonna kill
Yes.
you and your dog and your family and I'm going to erase you from the earth because you hurt
Yeah,
my
I mean,
feelings.
don't get me wrong. I can entertain some petty thought processes like anyone else. But my
Right.
musical selections, I do like a real, you know, that sucked and I'm sad, but I'm gonna be totally fine. I like that vibe. I like that vibe
Gotcha.
a lot better.
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, well, what are you gonna do for your birthday since we're not recording? You gonna have big plans?
Yeah, actually. So my niece also has the same birthday as me, and she was born on my 21st birthday. And so now she's turning 21 this year. And we are going to go and celebrate it with her and her family. So I'm sure we'll just go out to dinner and have a mature drink. I'm sure it's her first alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
And so we want to be there with her and make it a special occasion. Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be totally fun. Maybe in a future episode we can talk about, you know, music that's special about our birthdays, because my birthday is the Thanksgiving weekend. So, you know, we've been living in the shadow of greater holidays for a while
I
now,
understand.
you and I.
I really, the only good Thanksgiving song that came out was Adam Sandler's Thanksgiving song. I really haven't heard one since then.
No,
But
there's
yeah,
the
we can
standard.
definitely, we could do drinking songs. We just need all different kind of themes we can do, definitely.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're taking next week off, and but then we'll be back. So any parting words for our 10 subscribers?
I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you for listening to two ladies that just like to talk about music and getting to relive their memories through song.
Okay.
How about you, Rhiannon?
No, I think that sums it up, and I'm just going to press the stop button so we can stop recording.
Bye, everyone.